This is the Roller Coaster Podcast, and I'm your host, Lucy Q. Life is a wild ride. It has twists and turns. It's scary, exciting, and downright fun. So throw your head back, arms in the air, and come along with me for the ride.
Life is like a roller coaster, baby, baby. I wanna ride.
If your shoes are untied, you will trip. If they stay untied, you will fall. Don't be your own stumbling block. Tie your shoes and take aim. Carenda Deonne is a spiritual mentor and change agent who challenges women to live life on the promise of impact and is joining me today to chat about challenging our thoughts, taking risk, and becoming a new you. Hi, Carenda.
Lucy, hello. Thank you for having me. I am excited to be here.
This is great. So, how did you get into helping women create change?
Well, it started as from writing to speaking. Even when I was growing up, Lucy, writing has always been a safe place for me. I started writing poetry when I was very, very young, and I still write. And so writing became that place where I could be totally vulnerable and totally transparent and totally authentic, right? And so it turned from writing poetry to a newsletter to being called into ministry, and then opening myself up totally to speaking and empowering women to take aim, to throw those lemons back. And so it, like I said, it started from words, and the words turned into a platform, a speaking platform, to help encourage women.
As you went through that journey, did you ever have any of those little questioning thoughts in your head about, is this something that I can do? Is this for me? We all have those limiting thoughts.
Absolutely. And, one of the things that I struggled with, Lucy, was comparing myself. Sometimes you're like, oh, maybe I should do that. Or maybe I should talk like this person. Or maybe I should copy what they're doing or look at what they're doing and see if that will make it work. But, one of the things that I help women to understand is that you are unique in your skin, in your presence, in your being. And so you don't have to be anyone else. You can admire people, you can compliment people, but the best gift you can ever give yourself and to others is when you are authentically yourself. And so I did have those thoughts like, can I do this? Am I qualified? And I remember even when I was going through some personal coaching and counseling, one of the things that I had to do was look in the mirror and repeat multiple times, I am qualified. I am qualified, right? Because, there was something on the inside that made me feel like, maybe you're not qualified. Maybe you don't have all of the experience that you should. Who's really going to listen to you? You don't have the big doctor degree behind your name. But I have learned I am qualified, and I'm qualified in the authentic, transparent, being 100% present in my gifts and my abilities and talents to help others.
That's what we do. I mean, speaking as a woman, that's what we do. We do compare.
We do.
We look at what everybody else has
Mm-hmm.
and we see it as something that we don't have. And you also touched on something very important there, where we almost ask permission to do things. We don't, we beat ourselves up and we don't realize that we don't have to ask anyone's permission to do anything.
Right.
We can just do it. And, we don't need to get caught up on what that piece of paper may say, or even if you have a piece of paper, because so often, who better to teach something and to share something than if you've been through it yourself?
Yes. Absolutely, Lucy. And that's why, I love that you opened with the quote because, I am a living example of that. Don't be your own stumbling block. It's not pointing the finger and thinking it's someone else that's holding you back or someone else that is the guilty party, right? Um, don't be your own stumbling block, right? Putting unnecessary pressures on yourself, feeling like you have to have it all together all the time, or limiting yourself with the words that you speak and the way in which you are perceiving you. So it's so important. Tie those shoes and do what you are called and purposed to do.
And do it unapologetically.
Yes.
Because, that's another thing that we get caught up doing is that we're afraid to let our light shine too bright.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Yeah,
dim it.
we dim it. We dim it.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Exactly.
we do it to ourselves.
We
And
do
it's,
it to ourselves.
I don't know, if you've ever heard the saying of, you are your own worst enemy.
Yes, I've heard
And
that.
that's what we do is that, you know, we talk to ourselves. I
Hmm.
don't even think we talk to some of our worst enemies the way that we talk to ourselves.
I
You know,
feel you.
eh,
And Lucy, what we do is we'll take an experience and allow that experience to define us. And when when you go through that experience, learn from it. Yes, I feel like there's always lessons to be learned. There's always room for growth. There's always you always should be open and receptive, especially when it comes to the choices you make and the reasons why you make those choices. But don't allow your experience to label you. Don't allow your experience to put a stigma where you feel like, oh, because I've been through this, or because because I didn't accomplish this, then I can't, there's nothing else left, or there's nothing more. This is it. And my purpose is pushing that button and saying, no, it's not it. It's not it. And really getting women mentally to believe that.
and it's those labels that we almost, we let moments define us, we apply a
Mhm.
label to ourselves, and then we go on to try and live up to that label, which just pushes us even further away from our authentic self.
Mhm.
I mean, personally, like, how do we just get rid of all of these labels?
I
I'm so
know.
sick. It's like there's always a new label, and you're like, really?
Yeah.
I just want one label. It's called Lucy. Like, you've got one label. It's called
One label.
Carenda.
Yeah, that's
That's
it.
it. That's
That's it.
all. That's all you have to be.
That's
Is you.
all you have to be. That is all you have to be. And it is, and when you are, and when you really come into that settlement, it is the greatest gift you can ever give yourself. It really, really is.
Life changes. Life
Hmm.
absolutely changes.
It does.
I've
It
been
does.
both.
Hmm.
I've
Hmm.
been that person with the limiting beliefs, the self-doubt, the low self-esteem, and it just drove me further and further and further down until I hit a rock bottom and then had to climb my way back out. Once you've done that, you can look back and you realize that there are all these gifts and the
Hmm.
lessons that you learn. Now that you can look back with 2020 vision, you can see where you were and you can realize all the beauty that life actually holds.
Oh my gosh, so much beauty. And the journey is beautiful. It's not just the moment of something happening. It is the entire journey that's beautiful. And I just want to say this, Lucy, one of the things that I had to do, I had to speak declarations at the beginning of my day because I would automatically think if the phone rings or if I get an email back, it's something negative or it's something that is labeled rejection, right? So I would have to say declarations at the beginning of the day to get my mindset in a place where I don't allow those labels and I don't allow that to become something that just overshadows and overpowers my day. And it was just crazy. I mean, you know, when someone called or if I dropped the car off at the mechanic and he calls, I'm like, oh gosh,
That's
I already
another
know it's going to be
$500.
exactly. And he's just calling saying, hey, your car's ready, you can come pick it up, right? But I mean, I from every level I was doing that. Every level I was doing that. And I'm like, you know what? No, 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 no. We're not getting ready to do that. And so for me, and I continue to do this because we're always a work in progress, I say declarations at the beginning of my day. It's like I'm setting priority. You have to set priorities for you, right? I mean, we have priorities that we have on our jobs and things we have to do for our kids, so to speak. But you also have to prioritize the things that matter to you and that are your makeup to make you a better person. And I know for me, I had to do that. I had to do that. I had to say those declarations right at the top to change and shift my mindset.
Now, is that part of a morning routine that you have?
hmm It is a morning routine that I have. Yes, absolutely. And, you know, and I know that some things may not work for everyone, but it works for me because, again, I know my mindset will easily shift to something's wrong. What happened? Right. And so having that routine, it mentally builds that muscle to say, no, good things are happening today. Good things are coming my way today. I am expecting the unexpected of rewards and favor and blessings. I am living my best life because I am being 100% Carenda today. No makeups, no apologies, no unnecessary pressures. I'm going to smile. I'm going to have joy. I'm going to let my light shine brighter today, right? So I had to set that priority to shift my mind of something that it normally would routinely do, which would affect everything around me, affect my personal life, business relationships, personal relationships. So I had to change that.
And that also goes back to when you put yourself first in the day, then you can pour from a full cup.
Yeah.
When you're hitting the ground running in the morning and you're taking care of everybody first, and you're like, no, I'm going to exercise at the end of the, I'm going to do this at the end of the day. And then you get to the end of the day and you're like, nope.
hmm
You're
hmm
putting
Yeah, I had
yourself
to.
first. And
Yes,
by putting yourself first, you can help everybody else better.
you can by putting yourself first. And here's the thing that I want women to know: it is not selfish. It is not selfish to put yourself first. It is not selfish to value self-care. It's not selfish. It's something that you must do. You must do, because if you do not, you're going to start seeing dysfunction, chaos, and imbalance, right? So you've got to do it. It is so, so important. Yes. And I encourage women to do that. And for those that say, well, for me, it might be, getting a massage or whatever, or reading a book, whatever it is, do it. The point is, do it. And you always want to start your day being self-fulfilled. It is imperative that you start your day being self-fulfilled. Yeah.
And when you're helping women,
hmm
is there a specific formula or process that you take them through so that they can take aim for themselves?
Good question. There's no formula. The only commitment that I ask is that they will not put limits on themselves, right? And that they will follow the process and follow the journey and enjoy it. Um, Take gratitude in it, and be willing to be receptive and be willing to share, because it's there's no formula, but there is a commitment that you won't put limitations on yourself in that process of taking aim.
What are some of those limitations that women are putting on themselves when they're trying to start a program with you?
Yeah, so some of the limitations is lack of self-trust. They don't trust themselves, right? The lack of love, um, not loving themselves completely. You've got to also love the unlovable about you. You got to love all of you.
The good, bad, and the ugly.
I love it all. Absolutely, Lucy. And then forgiveness, self-forgiveness. Um, those are the three major areas that seems to be the root of um, where we need to peel that onion back in order to take aim. But yes, those are the three major areas.
And forgiving yourself for past decisions. That can be a tough one for people because they want to look back with judgment.
Yeah. Hmm.
And that's the critical part in all of this, is that you have to be able to look back and realize that you did the best you could at the time. Now, sure, looking back, it's easy to spot all the mistakes you made and what you could have done and what you should have done. But in the
Hmm.
moment, you're obviously doing the best you can. That's why you made those decisions. And each of those decisions brought you to where you are today. They're all part of the journey.
Yes, they are all a part of the journey. That's beautiful, right? And that's the thing, that's difficult sometimes, because mentally you're like, well, it wasn't beautiful. That didn't feel beautiful when I was going through that, right? um, that didn't feel beautiful when that happened. That experience really traumatized me. And I'm not minimizing the impact of what we have experienced or gone through, right? But if we stay there, we will never reach our full potential, which will be a disappointment. It will be a disappointment. And so, understanding the journey in itself and everything that it brings, right? The ups and downs of life, the stresses, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as we've talked about, is a part of this beautiful journey, of this beautiful being, of this beautiful person, of this beautiful soul that is uniquely created, that has the faith, the fortitude, and the forgiveness to move forward.
And I think a lot of people, they focus on the destination. Yes,
Mhm.
that's your beacon, that's what's guiding you, that's where you're going, but they forget to enjoy the journey. It's
Mhm.
like, I just got to get there. I got to get there. I got to get there.
Mhm.
But
That's so true.
you have to, along the way, you have to be able to stop and appreciate how far you've come, where you were, still looking forward, where you're moving forward,
Mhm.
but you do need to take pause and, enjoy the scenery.
You do. You absolutely do. And you said a good point, Lucy, to literally see how far you come. One of the things that I do like is asking women, what is your journey? What has your journey been like? You know, not just the experience, not just the divorce, not just the losing the job or the promotion or whatever the experience or moment was, but tell me about the journey, right? Because we do need to appreciate the beauty, the absolute beauty of growth. the absolute beauty of seeing, wow, I have come a long way. Yeah.
And that's, that goes back to life as a roller coaster. It has, I love roller coasters, but I mean, it has exciting moments, it has scary moments, it has pee your pants moment. But every time I'd get back into the home base of the roller coaster, and you're back, you're like, oh, that's over. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, let's do it
Yeah.
again. Because as exciting, as terrifying, and as scary as it is,
Right.
it was a great ride.
It was a great ride. Right. And you took a risk.
Yeah.
A risk, but it was a great ride. It was worth it at the end. It was worth it, right? The risk was worth it.
And that's it, is that, we have to keep that in mind, because
Mhm.
and as on a roller coaster, you can either throw your arms up in the air and scream and have a good time, or you can just grip hold for dear life.
That's me. Now, Lucy, I'm going to tell you, I don't really do no roller coasters.
You don't do roller coasters?
I don't do no roller coasters. But
Oh,
yes, I've been. I was the one, you go to theme park and they're and I'm like, come on, you can do it. I got a whole cheerleading squad. And I've done a roller coaster maybe 2 times in my entire life, and I'm good, right? But that was me. Just, Lord, please just get me back safely.
nope. Like, let's go for it. I've been on the ones where you're lying down. I've been on ones where you're like upside down, deep dives, corkscrews. I've been on one that you go through it forward and then you go through it backwards.
Oh, no, no, no.
I'm like, bring it on.
No, no, no.
Love it.
I can tell you the name of the roller coaster. I don't even know if this roller coaster is still in operation. I think it was either at Busch Gardens or Kings of Me, and it was called the Scooby-Doo roller coaster. And it wasn't even one of them big ones.
Oh, not the Ghoster Coaster. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a roller coaster.
It was for me.
Mind you, I'm okay on a
Scooby-Doo.
roller coaster, but if you get on the ride where you're the hanging swings and you go around and around,
I love those.
Oh no,
I love
that's Vomit City.
the teacups where you
Nope.
push it. I love those. I love them.
They make
I'll
me
do
sick.
those all day long. But you know what I'm talking about, Lizzie? That's what makes us both so unique, right? Makes our journeys different,
Yeah.
but still beautiful at the same time.
We can still go to Busch Gardens, but we're going to get on different rides. Now, you also have a book, don't you, Carenda?
I do. I have a book. My latest book is entitled Perfect Patty Messed Up, and it is a 40-day inspirational devotional for women. And what it does, it helps us to really break down that barrier, that wall of feeling like I will only be fulfilled if I'm living a life of perfectionism. And it is unrealistic, right? And I've been there, where it was just like, God, I gotta get this. I gotta, dot all my I's, cross all my T's, and even if I'm not feeling well, even if I have a lot going on, no one will ever know, because I'm gonna look like everything is perfect. And what happens with Perfect Patty, most times it takes a very traumatic event to get her to break. Um, she's hard to break. She is hard to break. She has a lot of walls. Um, Perfect Patty is very gifted, very talented, very popular. She makes people laugh. She's a delight. All of that. But there are inner issues of the heart that she needs to deal with. And until she does, she will limit herself in living a fulfilled life. So I'm really, I love that God gave me the insight and the inspiration to do the book. And yeah, it's helping to break those barriers.
And often when we see and recognize that perfect Patty in our world,
Mhm.
everything on the outside, as you said, they may look perfect,
Mhm.
but meanwhile, they have a package of double stuffed Oreos hidden in every room.
Yes, yes, and boxes of tissue, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
that goes back to the labels.
Yeah.
And, if we're seeing people only, you're only capturing that, Facebook moment, that
Mhm,
Instagram picture. You're
mhm,
not
mhm,
seeing
mhm,
the
mhm.
truth behind it. You're not seeing, that perfect patty up until 1 o'clock at night, making sure that the cupcakes are all frosted for the bake sale the next day. Because Lord forbid that Janice says anything about the cupcakes,
Lord forbid. Lord
you
forbid.
know?
Yes. And that's so transparent. I love that, Lucy. And it's interesting with Perfect Patty because there is this need for gratification. And I'm not saying that that's bad, but what I am saying is when that need of gratification begins to cause you not to be who you are and put on facades and live a life that you're not happy with, and that inwardly you are crying out for help. Yeah, you've got to deal with it. You've got to deal with those issues, because people sometimes Perfect Patty feels like, well, I'll only be accepted if people think this about me. But no, people want, just be you, you know, just
Yeah,
be
break the
you.
mold of perfect patty.
Break it. Yes. So, I'm really excited about the devotion, and I really hope and pray that it continues to bless perfect patties out there. Yeah, absolutely.
So where would be the best place for people to connect with you, Corinda?
Yes. So the best way to connect, you definitely can find me on my website, of course, at carendadeonne.com. And I'm also on all social media platforms. So Instagram at Carenda Deonne. Um, what is the other? LinkedIn, I'm sorry, at Carenda Deonne LLC, and Facebook at Carenda Deonne LLC. But you can find everything that I'm doing, from online classes to motivational minutes to motivational speaking. All of that is on my website at carendadeonne.com.
If you are looking at connecting with Corinda, make sure you check out the show notes. I'm going to have all of the links in there. And Corinda, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your story.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Roller Coaster Podcast. Want to chat or share your ideas about today's show? Pop me an email at hello@therollercoasterpodcast.com. Don't forget to connect with me on Facebook and Instagram at The Roller Coaster Podcast. Our theme song, Roller Coaster, was performed by The Lucky Setback. Audio editing by the one and only Jeff Quigley of Quigley Creator.
Life is like a roller